Welcome back to eNCA Moneyline, your money guide. I'm C. Kim Kabadeli, coming to you live from the Investing in African Mining Indaba in Cape Town. Now, the mining industry is going to be watching very closely what government does with mining regulation. In fact, the South African Chamber of Mines says the amendments to the Act were negotiated in good faith. We spoke earlier to the CEO of the South African Chamber of Mines, Bheki Sibiya, and I began by asking him if government and industry are getting along.
I would like to indicate that, really give compliments to the minister, that when he took the responsibility, we were in the middle of the strike, and he engaged with the captains of the mining industry soon, and the engagement was really detailed and thorough, and he has continued with that, which we believe is great. Similarly, he is engaged with the trade unions across the board, and all the unions, the ones who have been there for quite some time and the newcomers, and that engagement we believe has been thorough as well. He has also brought the three partners, the unions, the captains of industry and the government, to deal with the issues of mining in a manner that is very commendable. So we are excited about the number of dialogues, the rigor of dialogue and the outcomes thereof.
What is the Chamber's position on the returning of the amendment bill back to Parliament?
We understand that Section 26 was not right, and we indicated that it was not right, but since it was dealing with oil and gas, it is not our domain. We made a comment and we dealt with those. And therefore, to the extent that oil and gas needs to be dealt with, we're happy with the decision to say separation of the bills. But when one looks at then the bill, the MPRDA, as it covers mining, we believe it is in a condition which the President should have signed it into law. It being returned to Parliament, we were comforted by the Minister when he said he's going to honor all the agreements that he had reached with the Chamber of Mines, because we then understood that it was going to go through fairly quickly. We were excited when he said he wants it to be law by middle of the year, June, thereabout. But when he starts introducing the issue of developmental price, we are looking at it and say others may want to introduce anything else, and it may be everything goes. And so, one, it may take longer to go through both the House, the House of Assembly and the Council of Provinces, and two, the issues we may find that the agreements which we hitherto thought had been achieved are going to be changed. For us, we are worried about developmental pricing because it is the centerpiece of the agreement we had with the DMR.
What's wrong with the developmental price?
It is its unpredictability. In fact, that it interferes with the market price. We are saying, let's agree on the mine gate price. We would know what it is, and it is not having any interference. Once we have the developmental price, it says discount. And a discount is some form of nationalization coming via the back door. It tampers with the expectations of the investors of the returns of their investment, and therefore it needs to necessarily cause them to be jittery, because then you are not so sure about your investment criteria, whether it's payback period or returns of investments, to say, are you going to sustain them? But also, thirdly, it starts giving an indication that if somebody doesn't like the outcome of the formula they have applied for the developmental price, they may want to change the formula until they get what they want. We believe the mine gate price, its objective is verifiable and is defensible. Developmental pricing, we need to say beneficiation has got to be incentivized through the Department of Trade and Industry. We believe that trade and industry is capable and able to actually incentivize appropriately.
Most of the major developments in mining globally are tabled at the annual Mining Indaba. But what happens to a community when the shafts stop operating? Well, Diane Hawker visited such a mining community.
Expensive suits and high-powered deals at the Mining Indaba in Cape Town. It's all about who's investing where and how much. This world is far removed from the desolate streets of the Blyfor mine, which closed its shafts in August 2013. Since then, its workers have been waiting and hoping. In the meantime, buildings have been stripped for scrap and life has become more dangerous.
Two guys is coming to run to me out of the field. So I was coming through the field. So they put the gun pointed me with a 9mm. So I didn't know what to do even. I was flat on that moment. So it's so dangerous this time. Everybody is hungry. It's like nobody's caring about our people anymore.
They say municipal services have ground to a halt, leaving rubbish and sewage in the streets.
The mayor came to address the people of Blyfor, saying they cannot do anything in Blyfor because Blyfor it's a private property.
The situation at Blyfor is indicative of problems that arise when a mine suddenly closes and when there are no other jobs on offer. Putting food on the table has become a daily struggle, with questions mounting about whether it's too late to save this community. Diane Hawker, Carltonville.
The mining industry is under increasing pressure to find new and better ways to uplift the communities in which they operate. Now, earlier I spoke to Terry Heyman, who is the MD for Gold for Development with the World Gold Council, and I began by asking him about the role that mining companies can play in helping to sustain small businesses across the continent.
I think mining companies have a really important role to play in helping catalyse the development of small and medium-sized enterprises. If you think about the size of the mining enterprise and the amount of money that they spend, that creates huge opportunity for a wide range of businesses. So we at the World Gold Council have actually done some research looking at the amount of money that is spent by mining companies. And we asked our member companies, 15 of the world's largest gold mining companies, to tell us very simply how much money they spent. In 2013, they spent $47 billion. Of that, 80%, 37, was spent in the country where the mine was held, and the vast majority, 26 billion, was spent on businesses, on suppliers of products and goods. So I think mining companies have a really important role to be able to help catalyse the development of these businesses, and that's what the panel discussion that we had earlier today at Indaba was talking about.
So what sort of services could they typically ask for?
So some of the services that have been very well established are catering or cleaning or construction services, and I think those are all services that need to be local, and you would like to be able to engage the local community, local employees in conducting those. Ideally, to help those people set up their own businesses, because there's a real sustainability in having people that set up their own businesses that start with a key client being the mining company, but ultimately can go and look for business from other places and have a well-diversified economy. Over time, you're actually looking to see whether you can set up more sophisticated manufacturing businesses, for example, to provide perhaps some of the milling equipment, the ball bearings that are used in the crushing or areas like that maybe previously have been imported. I think there are lots of opportunities actually when you look at the total spend of a mining company.
A lot of mining on the African continent takes place in quite remote areas. What sort of challenges come with that?
Well, there are definitely challenges in remote areas, the obvious in terms of lack of infrastructure sometimes, access, electricity. I think that it's helpful to think about the role that a mining company can play both at the local level and very local in terms of where the mine site is, but actually across the nation as well. So the machinery example, the manufacturing example I just talked about wouldn't necessarily need to be located at the mine site. Indeed, if you have it in a capital city or a major town, it can probably service lots of different mines and it can service other businesses. I think the opportunity is to think about this as a collective whole, to get the engagement and the involvement across the country, and importantly, to get the involvement of government at both a national and at a local level.
In South Africa, we have legislation around enterprise development, which is supposed to help small businesses to supply to bigger companies, and that's legislated. Is this something that, do you think, should be legislated across the continent?
I think clearly the government has a very important role to play and is a key partner working alongside mining companies, working alongside development agencies. Anita George, who heads up the energy and extractive sector of the World Bank, was speaking today on this topic. As regards specific regulation, I think that it really needs to be looked at on a case-by-case basis, because what everybody is trying to do is create the right enabling conditions so that mining can be a catalyst.
From the mining indaba here in Cape Town. Tomorrow it will wrap up around midday, and the whole morning is going to be dedicated to looking at that specific question around sustainable development. Back to you, Dudu.
Thank you so much, Siki. That was eNCA Moneyline's Sikim Gabadeli coming to us live from Cape Town at the mining indaba. Our daily question and answer feature is coming up next.